result has more of a material market value attachment to the painting. And in the end of the days, the higher standards that were created in World War II of returning. World War II is the first time that a winning army doesn't bring home the spoils of war. It's an incredible shift from the past. We have the Americans that win the war, and instead of loading airplanes and ships with hundreds of works of art, they return them to the countries that they had been taken from. And so we're still continuing that process. We cannot now deny those high standards that have been set in place.
So can you talk about the resources that the foundation has been able to accumulate over the years, and all of this data that you've been able to collect? Are you still finding clues in there, or do the tips come in through your tip line?
Yes, we receive leads almost on a daily basis. When we have a return ceremony, such as yesterday, then we're more in the news and we receive more leads, because more people read the news and they think, oh, maybe this what I have falls in the same category. Or if we have a TV show like we had a few years ago, Hunting Nazi Treasure, that's being rerun every once in a while, then when people watch that, then they contact. So it comes and goes, but more or less every day we have something that comes in. We have a database with about 300 leads that are worked on a priority basis. We have a small staff, so we work on the leads that are the most promising. If something comes in that is really, really promising, then we might drop what we're working on and shift our attention to that one. It all depends on what other projects we have going on, but certainly the leads keep coming, and we look at all of them. It just might not be as timely as some of the people that contact us would hope, but this is a really tedious research, and COVID didn't help because all of the archives shut down. So of course a lot of the research that we do needs access to documents that are in archives, most of them in Europe for obvious reasons. So the research is slow, but when something is returned, it really makes all of the efforts worth it. And as far as other resources, when the Monuments Men Foundation was created in 2007, its main objective was that of preserving the legacy of these monuments men and women and what they had done during the war, preserve their stories, meet as many of them as they were still alive, to have them recount in their own words what the experience was. And so in those early years, our founder, Robert Edsel, traveled around the country looking for as many monuments men and women as he could find. He met 21 of them, a few in the UK, most of them in the United States, and recorded their stories. So our resources are not just this database of leads, but it's also this immense wealth of first-hand history, oral history of the men and the women that were involved in these efforts and who are now all deceased except for one. And so their stories had to be preserved as before they passed. And now all of this incredibly valuable collection is at the National World War II Museum in New Orleans, which is building a permanent exhibition on the monuments men and women. And so that their legacy will be forever preserved.
You know, I know you're a nonprofit organization. If people wanted to help your cause, what are the opportunities beyond the tips? You know, are you looking for volunteers to help you with research? Are there ways for people to kind of, come alongside and help your organization?
Yes, that's my favorite question. Thanks for the question. So we are a not-for-profit, and our work has an impact worldwide, and yet finding the resources is quite a challenge. So we are lucky that we actually receive so many offers of free help that it's humbling. Weekly, we receive emails from students all the way to retired FBI agents, attorneys, really the whole spectrum of people that are so enamored and passionate about what we do that they offer their free help. Now, to even take the free help, you need the staff and the time to sort through the contacts and create the opportunity. So unfortunately, we're not in a position to be able to welcome all of the free help that's offered, but that's certainly something that has been we've received from the very early years, and something that we've been always incredibly appreciative. We have help. We have the chance every once in a while to actually take this free help that's offered, depending on what we're working on. Sometimes the stars align and we need some expertise on something in Hungary, and of course Hungarian might not be a language that we all speak, and then someone contacts us that has an expertise in Hungarian, and we're like, okay, this actually works out great, perhaps you can help us with a few document translations. So at times it happens. We usually keep track of everyone that contacts us, and we might reach out to them even years later. They have contacted us and see if they're still willing to give us a hand. So that is something that we do. But of course, the best way to help our organization is through financial support, and we have donations that can be made through our website, but we have also a membership program that allows for anybody at different levels to be more involved with our day-to-day work. And for instance, the return ceremony that we had yesterday, our patron members can attend these ceremonies, and these are rare ceremonies, and they're usually just upon invitation in beautiful buildings. The consulate where we were yesterday is counted among the American Renaissance, the Renaissance buildings of America. Now, I mean, America is not really famous for Renaissance art, so that tells you what a pretty building it was. And hearing from the Poles how meaningful this return was, and how truly the hopes sometimes start to end after so many decades. They're wondering, will we ever find one more works of art? And then one shows up, and the hopes and light again. And it's the ceremonies are always very meaningful, and we cannot let anybody join, but those who are members of our organization and that are supporting our organization, then they can get access to this incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So yes, I think that would be the most impactful way to help is through financial support.
At the end of World War II, some of the bigger name pieces of art that they were able to recover were like Da Vinci's Lady with Ermine or the Ghent altarpiece. But what would you say are some of the top pieces of art that still aren't accounted for, that if we were to find them, really be just top of the headlines, meaningful discovery?
Yes, that's another great question. So, and I say great because we have actually worked for the last year on a product that we will launch early in January. So anybody who's listening to us, I tell them, sign up to our newsletter to be the first ones to know about this. It's going to be aimed exactly at the top works of art that are still missing. And it's something that we're very proud of, and we can't wait to talk more about it. But the one work of art that I think everyone around the world is hoping to find is Raphael's of a young man from the Czartoryski Museum in Krakow, Poland. That is actually in the same museum of the Leonardo da Vinci's Lady with an Ermine that you just mentioned. There is the famous photo of one of the monuments men holding the Lady with an Ermine in front of a train at a train station when they're returning it to Poland. Well, this portrait of a man by Raphael was taken in the same circumstances as the Lady with an Ermine, but then it got separated, and the Lady with an Ermine was found. The Raphael wasn't. And I thought in the movie The Monuments Men, George Clooney decided to show the soldiers, the Nazis burning it, more as not because he thinks or we think that it's being destroyed. On the contrary, we don't think it has been destroyed, but it was George Clooney's provocation to see if someone will come out and say, actually it didn't burn, and see if some leads that took us in towards its discovery would come out. There are, because it comes from Poland, the Raphael's portrait of a man was actually a subject of a heated conversation yesterday when I was with this couple of representatives of the looted art division from Poland, and We all agreed that it's most likely out there. It hasn't been destroyed. And we're working on some leads, and who knows, that would be, I think with all certainty, the painting that would create the most head news should it be found.
How did you find yourself here at the head of the Monuments Men Foundation? What's your background, and how did you find yourself in this passion project?
Yes, well, I'm from Florence, Italy. So my background is I'm Italian. I studied art in university, first in Italy, then in London at the Courtauld Institute. And while I was in between college and graduate school, I learned that there was an author, Robert Etzel, that was looking for a researcher to do some work on in archives in Italy about what happened during the war to the museum state collections. And being from Florence and having grown up visiting the Uffizi on every other weekend with my family, and having studied art academically, and realizing that there was a chapter of history that I had never been taught. Even as an Italian, I had no idea that the works of art of the Uffizi had been first taken out of the museum and hid in the countryside of Tuscany, and then taken by the Germans all the way north, 300 kilometers, on open top trucks, almost into the Reich, and then that they were found in 1945 by the Monuments Men and taken back to the museum. I mean, for me, it was just mind-blowing that such a fascinating piece of history wasn't taught to students, especially the young ones that would really, usually history of art, at least in Italy, it's not considered a subject, an exciting subject for some very strange reasons. But if you add a component about a war or a treasure hunt, all of a sudden it really brings it to life. And so I thought I was very intrigued by this subject and by the not knowing anything about it. And so I worked for Robert Etzel on his book, Saving Italy, doing the research that he needed throughout archives in Italy. And that really got me hooked on the subject. And so when the book was finished, because I knew Robert had the Monuments Men Foundation that in the background was doing research work and with the Monuments Men and their families and gathering stories. Once the book was finished, then I shifted more into the work that the foundation was doing. And so I started 10 years ago working with the foundation, first as a researcher, and then getting more and more involved with its managing and administration. And then a couple of years ago, I was appointed president. So it has been a wonderful journey, and especially enriching to really see all of the developments of the foundation and live through several of its successes. And now it's an incredible honor to be at the lead.
So one more time, if someone wanted to follow your organization, if they have a tip, if they want to contribute, where's the best place to direct people's eyes and ears to help you with your cause?
So it's, in today's world, I would say social media is always the easiest path for everyone. We are on all of the usual suspects as Monuments Men Foundation for the Preservation of Art, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the works. The tip line that I mentioned that people can call to actually report a lead of an object that has a wartime connection is 1-866 World War II Art, which is 1-866-9944-278. And that is a toll-free tip line that works internationally. And otherwise, we have our website, monumentsmenfoundation.org, with an easy contact form. And we tend to respond to inquiries within 48 hours. So we try to really just be on top of inquiries and requests and really work with anybody that contacts us.
Well, Anna, I've really enjoyed our conversation. I, have such deep respect for what you guys are doing and what the legacy that you guys are maintaining. And I really hope that our listeners can help support your mission. And I really appreciate your time today. And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure.
now,